Ugh. Hi guys. I know I just let that out like the most frustrated sound because for the past hour and a half I have been trying to get shit working on this computer. Ugh! When I catch up with my bills, because I've been having some massive financial issues lately, if anything could break all at once, it did in my life. Once I get over that, I need to get another computer because I don't know what it is. Once I plug something in, normally everybody could just plug something in and go. I plug something in and it causes chaos on my system. All I wanted to do was react to a video. That's all I want to do is react to a video for this live stream. And the reason I want to react to a video for this live stream is because it is PlayStation Blackout week, so I'm not playing a video game. I just want to focus on different topics for these 3 days, and the last day of the week will definitely be my anime one. But today, I wanted to talk about why everything sucks now. And I came across this really great video, and I think the whole reason everything sucks now is why for the longest time I stopped making videos. If you have followed me for the past 5+ years, I used to do videos at least 3 times a week, edited videos, where I talked about manga, I talked about movies, television shows, anime, pop culture, comic books. I used to collab with people to talk about comic books and manga. Tuesday nights I had a live stream called Otaku Tuesdays, where me and a bunch of other friends got together to talk about the manga stories of the week. And for a while, that was going great. And then suddenly, I just stopped. I just completely stopped. And I think the reason for that, first, I want to emphasize something. It had nothing to do with anybody I worked with. Nobody I collabed with, nobody who I was friends with, or talked to, or tweeted, or anything like that. It pretty much had to do with me falling out of love with everything I used to care about. Whether it be the MCU, comic books, manga, movies, television. It got to a point where I just didn't give a damn anymore about it. Because everything was terrible. Yeah, and I know you're going to say, but Carrie, manga seemed to be the one thing you were enjoying. Well, it was for a long time until it got to a point, and I have a video on this, I collabed on it with a friend, Bianca, where you started to realize that Western companies that would license manga would hire translators that decided to tweak the stories, tweak the scripts. So I got to a point where I started to wonder, am I actually reading the story the original mangaka had intended? By the way, I see there's 4 people watching. Hi guys, do not be shy. Jump into the chat, say hi, and while you're here, do not forget to like, subscribe. I really would appreciate it. I am trying to raise money. I am so broke. But back to it. So I did the whole video where I actually hired someone to translate the original Japanese works of certain manga that were in question at the time. And it turned out there was massive changes. So I sat there and I would start to think, am I really reading what the person wants me to read? The original creator wants me to read. So I started to feel iffy about reading manga. So I started to slow down reading manga until I almost wasn't reading manga. I think the only thing I was reading was webtoons, which is a lot of Korean, South Korean web manga, like manhwa they call it, One Piece. A lot of the mainstream stuff, or the stuff that was already translated long before any of this crap started. And it was it seriously took a hit on me, because I felt like I couldn't enjoy anything anymore, because I was like, okay, I'm having fun with this, but at what point, alright, I'll dim the light there, at one point will this get ruined? And I just checked out. I did. I wasn't paying money to go to the movies, because every time I saw a trailer, I thought it sucked. I mean, I think the only movies I did pay for in the last, I say 6 years, was Spider-Man No Way Home and Deadpool and Wolverine. Spider-Man No Way Home because a friend asked me to go with them. Deadpool and Wolverine because it did actually look enjoyable, and I thought it was good. I don't know if I'd rewatch it 100 times, but it was pretty good for what we were getting. I canceled out a lot of my streaming platforms, all my subscription services, because there was less and less stuff I wanted to watch. Sorry, if you hear bang in the background, it's my dog's tail going a mile a minute. I think I was down to Netflix. I had Crunchyroll until Sony screwed that up, and I dumped Crunchyroll for other reasons. But I got rid of a lot of stuff. I don't have Disney Plus. I don't have Hulu. I don't have Crunchyroll anymore. I think we have HBO Max, but that's mostly my brother who subscribes to that, because he likes the House of Dragons and all the Games of Thrones stuff. I really checked out of Game of Thrones halfway through the series, because it started to get really stupid. And I think that's about I don't have much. I think I have a streaming service where there's a lot of Korean dramas on it, but I even watch a lot of that on Netflix. I am completely out of stuff. I was just completely I'm not interested. I'd go to the comic book store and I'd be only looking for old comics. I rarely bought new comics unless someone Thinking Critical Wes or Doc or Aaron Sparrow was recommending it. Then I said, alright, I'll check it out. And most of the times I was reading it for free online before I even decided if it was worth buying. Because I got so jaded with entertainment. And I know what you're going to say, why'd you get into video games? Video games have their problems. Yes, they do, but I think overall a lot of the Asian games, which is mostly what I've been playing, like Nintendo and Stellar Blade. I did try Crimson Desert, we know how that went. Pal World is pretty much an indie game. Expedition 33, indie game. Those don't seem to be tainted by any of the crap, and I enjoyed them a lot. It's kind of like what I'm kind of doing now with my manga, manhwa, and comic books. I'm just kind of delving through indie stuff or stuff I don't think has been adapted by some big licensing company here that's going to willingly change stuff, or it's series I've loved long before all this, like One Piece. My Hero Academia, I like that one, Sakamoto Days. But it hasn't been a lot of stuff, and video games has been the only place I've found joy again, and I kind of feel like this has been done by design. And I don't know if you agree with me. By the way, guys, let me know if my audio is okay, because I was having some problems with it before. It looks like the mic is working. I'm not seeing much people reacting in the chat, but let me know. I'm trying to calm my dog down. He's been sleeping this whole time, and now the minute I go live stream, he's like, "Oh, what's up?" like I said, I checked out. I started to have fun again with video games. I don't know how long that's gonna last because video games, a whole other problem outside of the normal stuff we know about, is happening. Things are getting too expensive. They're getting way too expensive. You've got the digital crap that's happening right now. Sony, that's why we're doing Blackout Week. I'm not playing anything on my PlayStation this week. Oh, hey, Brimstone. I saw you earlier. I was just wondering where you were at. I know there's other people watching, but I'm not seeing too many people jump in. Guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for me, okay? I am doing a Blackout Week on PlayStation, so we are just going to have, like, just chatting videos this week. On Friday, I'd like to cover my top 10 favorite anime of all time, so I'll get into that. A lot of it's going to be much older anime, though I do like a few newer stuff. I was just kind of talking about how I checked out of entertainment for a period because everything sucked. It just really sucked. It still kind of sucks. And I came across this video from somebody, and it's a couple months old, but the guy's name is the Movie Cynic. That's CYNIC. And he does this whole video talking about this, and I wanted us to kind of watch it. And the reason I'm late is because I've been trying to get the audio to work correctly for this video so we can hear it, but I was having a lot of crap with echoing and other shit. Hopefully now it's working. If not, just jump in the chat and let me know. But I do want to get into this because I kind of feel like some of this is exactly how I feel about the movie, television, and video game industry, and comic books, and everything else. But there's some other stuff I wanted to add on to that, because I feel like there's other issues that I think some people might have covered, but I don't think a lot of people. I think they touched on it, or they're kind of like there, but they don't realize it. And after this video, I'm going to talk about that. But right now, I really want to watch this. The video is called "Everything Sucks," and the truth is, he's correct. Everything kind of sucks. So I'm going to mute my mics because it doesn't seem to interfere with the audio that bad when I'm muted my mic. But I'm going to do that, and then I'll jump in when I feel like I need to jump in. Okay, so we're going to just watch this video, so give me a second.
The weirdest part about modern entertainment is that we've never had more of it. Every movie ever made is one subscription away, and thousands of TV shows sit untouched in digital streaming landfills. Music feels infinite, games release constantly, social media algorithms regenerate content endlessly like the dopamine drains they are. We are drowning in entertainment, and yet everyone feels bored. People constantly say the same thing now. Nothing feels memorable anymore. And it's true. It's been a while since we've had something like this.
We have N-word scissor hands.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Just want to fade?
Movies come and go without leaving a cultural footprint. TV shows dominate the algorithm for a weekend before disappearing forever. The only memorable moments are ones that leave stains on your brain.
I'll fucking suck it. Please, I'll do anything. You want me to eat shit? I'll eat your fucking shit.
Songs explode on TikTok and vanish before people even learn the lyrics. Games launch unfinished, overloaded with microtransactions and battle passes. Even internet culture itself feels exhausted, with memes and trends often manufactured by brands and algorithms now, instead of growing naturally online. And this isn't nostalgia talking, at least, I don't think it is. Something genuinely feels different now. Artificial, corporate, emotionally hollow. Everything just sucks. Entertainment used to feel like it was made by people trying to create something meaningful. Now it feels like it's designed by a committee, one that studies engagement charts and
That is so true. Like, it is so true. I feel like everything now is based off, like, TikTok and Instagram. Like, what are the trends in TikTok and Instagram? Like, nothing is about, okay, what is a compelling story that we can get people interested in? It's about what's trendy, and everything is, like, so short-term memory, if that makes sense. Like, gone today, here tomorrow, vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, everything is literally fake and gay. And I'm gonna say that. It literally is. It feels like everything is just like hollow. Like there's nothing really like the it's not about, like I said earlier, not about creating an interesting story and appealing to an audience. It's about what is trendy. Right now, political talking points are trendy, agenda's trendy, whatever freaking short-term video on TikTok is trendy. I remember that interview with like the girl from Stranger Things. Her dad's what's his name? Her mom's Uma Thurman, and she was talking about like they were casting off Instagram. Like they were checking to see if you had a certain amount of followers in order to determine if you should be cast in a movie. Not if you were the most talented person for the role, but if you something keeps these cushion on these earbuds. Not if you are talented and the right person for the role. It's only if you're very popular on Instagram. Maya Hawke, thank you very much. Thank you. It's Maya Hawke. And that's what it feels like. It's like, okay, what can we quickly get over with people and then move on to the next thing? It's not about what's going to last. You know, it's not something that's going to be looked back on in 30 years and be like, oh wow, that was an amazing movie. That was an amazing comic book. That was an amazing book. That's one of the greatest video games of all time. No, it's like short-term satisfaction. That's literally what it is.
Data. That emptiness audiences feel isn't random. The film industry, gaming industry, music industry, streaming industry, and even online content creation are all suffering from the same disease. Corporate risk aversion, algorithm-driven creativity, endless recycling, and an obsession with short-term engagement over long-term cultural impact. Entertainment is optimized so aggressively for profit and convenience that somewhere...
No, not entirely. Social media is not entirely at fault. It is just part of the problem. Social media is where they go to hire people. Like it's like Reddit. I feel like they get all the writers from Reddit, not somebody who's actually talented enough or has got the resume for the job. It's about, again, trendy. Like, social media is just part of the problem. It gets into a bigger issue as we go along, but it is just part of the problem.
Along the way, the soul that made people care about it in the first place was stripped away. Let's go through them. Let's start with movies, since this channel is called The Movie Cynic. Hollywood didn't just become creatively bankrupt overnight. First, it had to become terrified. Terrified of losing money, of uncertainty. Terrified of making the wrong bet in an era where one box office disaster can wipe out hundreds of millions of dollars. There was a time that now seems like forever ago when Hollywood lived off mid-budget movies. Films like The Truman Show, Seven, Good Will Hunting, and The Matrix. They weren't tiny indie experiments, nor were they billion-dollar franchise installments. They were original ideas with actual personality. Studios used to greenlight strange concepts. Adult dramas, comedies, thrillers, that type of stuff, because there was room in the industry for movies that didn't need to gross $1 billion to justify existing. Now look at the landscape. Disney spent years turning Star Wars, Marvel, and live-action remakes into assembly lines. Warner Brothers tried desperately to build a cinematic something or other out of literally any DC character with a pulse. The result increasingly feels corporate. Movies like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness or Jurassic World exist in a realm where every joke feels focus-tested, and every emotional moment is interrupted by irony. Every movie today has to appeal to every demographic on Earth at once, which usually means it ends up saying almost nothing at all.
That right there. Right there. Everybody's worried about appeasing everybody, and nobody's stopping to think about, is this movie for everybody, or is it for a certain group of people? And I think that's the biggest problem. Well, one of the biggest problems. There's other problems, but we see it start with video games. They no longer wanted their core audience. They were convinced that there was another audience out there, even though they didn't have any basis to prove it on. So they decided to go full in and market directly to this mysterious audience that, honestly, never showed up. It was just like with Star Wars. They decided Star Wars, sorry, I'm getting cold, didn't need its male fan base anymore. It needed another fan base. And let's be honest, that fan base only showed up for whatever they could do, write for fanfic on Reddit or Wattpad or whatever else they use nowadays. But they'll say they're trying to appeal to everyone, but if you don't like it and you've been around and been a fan of it, suddenly you're the problem.
Hollywood also loves it some nostalgia. It used to use it as a supporting ingredient, but now it's an entire business model. Modern filmmaking has become an endless cycle of legacy sequels, remakes, reboots, live-action adaptations, all that bullshit, because studios realize familiarity is safer than originality. Take a look at that landscape. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Ghostbusters Afterlife, endless Star Wars spin-offs during the mid-2010s, Disney remaking nearly its entire animated catalog with films like Lion King and Little Mermaid. Hollywood keeps digging up old franchises because executives know audiences already recognize the brand names, so there's less risk involved, just like they want.
Yeah, I think it's also, they think it's easy money. But I think it's also been proven that when you're not respecting the law or the history of that IP, and you're just shoveling out shit and it's getting rejected, they still insist on putting out more and ignoring the input they're getting from the fan base. They don't care if they're losing money. They're determined that this next time is going to be the time it's going to succeed. And unfortunately, if you look at something like The Odyssey, sometimes they're right. I mean, they banked on the fact that that was being made by Nolan, and they knew there was a diehard Nolan fan base that was going to show up no matter what, and they did. And you can't tell them that movie is a problem in any way, any form whatsoever. You can't tell them that because they're such loyalists to Nolan. You'll need to do 2, 3, or 4 more really bad films before that changes. And unfortunately, with the MCU, you get a lot of crap, and then they do something like Spider-Man, because they know Spider-Man is always going to get over, if not here, everywhere else, because he's such a big character worldwide. Easy money to farm off IPs. Because if one IP finally dies out, they'll just pull out another one. And we've seen it.
Your logo is easier to market than a brand new idea, and sometimes nostalgia can work. Top Gun Maverick, for example, succeeded because it actually told a compelling story while respecting the original, where the nostalgia supported the film instead of replacing it. But most modern franchise filmmaking doesn't operate that way anymore. Entire scenes exist purely to trigger recognition. Old characters appear for applause breaks, literally, like Andrew Garfield's introduction in Spider-Man No Way Home. Rewatching it at home by yourself now, you can't help but cringe. See, Hollywood discovered audiences enjoy remembering things, so instead of creating new cultural icons, they've become obsessed with recycling old ones. The member berries. Yeah, everything sucks. You know what else sucks? Ads. You're gonna watch the ad, right? I love you, baby.
Honest opinion right off the bat, this video sponsor is Warby Parker, and they might be the coolest, best sponsor I've ever worked with. They offer face with their lenses that include anti-reflective and scratch.
And what of television? We live in an era where there are more TV shows than at any other point in human history, yet somehow television feels less culturally impactful than ever. Streaming services turned entertainment into an infinite buffet, and now audiences scroll through content the same way people wander grocery store aisles while hungry.
I have a question on that for you guys. I know how I feel about it, but do you think them dropping all the episodes at once also kind of like destroyed the experience with the TV show? I feel yes in some sense, because you don't have that anticipation to find out what's going to happen and have that time between episodes, unless you kind of condition yourself to like resist clicking on the next episode. I also think like with streaming services, you have such a long time between seasons. So when you get all that dropped on you at once and you binge it, say on a weekend, you get it all done. Now you're waiting like 2 to 3 years for the next season. Like, I've been watching the live action One Piece series. It's okay. I have my critiques on that. You probably have heard some of them if you follow me. But, like, it's really good, but then now you're sitting 2 to 3 years. I think this time maybe just 2 years before you get the next episode, next season. And I think sometimes that kills the anticipation for some people. When you have to wait too long for a new season, and then when it comes, they drop everything at once, so you binge it in a day, and now you're just waiting again. What do you guys think? Do you think that's part of the problem too with social media? I mean, streaming services?
Netflix, Disney Plus, Peacock, HBO Max, Amazon Prime. Every platform is in a constant arms race to flood viewers with content. Not shows or stories, but content. Background noise designed only to keep subscriptions active. Entire seasons release at once, people inhale them over a weekend, tweet about them for 48 hours, and then immediately move on to the next disposable product in the algorithmic pipeline. Compare that to older television phenomena like Breaking Bad, Lost, Game of Thrones, even The Sopranos. They all became cultural events partly because audiences experienced them together over time. People spent a week discussing theories, debating cliffhangers, anticipating what came next. The waiting was part of the experience. It built suspense and made television feel communal. Binge culture destroyed a lot of that. Now stories are consumed too quickly to leave a lasting impact. The monoculture, that used to be real. And now everyone lives in their own personalized algorithmic bubble. Streaming platforms, TikTok feeds, YouTube recommendations, and social media algorithms constantly tailor entertainment specifically to the individual. On paper, that sounds great, but in practice, it fragmented culture into a million isolated mini-cultures that rarely overlap anymore. One person spends all day watching true crime documentaries on Netflix, while another spends 12 hours inside anime TikTok. Meanwhile, someone else watches Twitch streamers, while another person lives entirely inside Marvel fandom discourse. There's so much content now that mass cultural focus barely exists outside of occasional mega events, like the Super Bowl or a huge video game release. The consequence is subtle but important. Entertainment feels smaller now, even though there's more of it. Fewer shows become defining cultural landmarks because audiences are scattered across thousands of platforms and niches. The monoculture is dead.
I also think there is, like he was talking about, mass producing way too many shows. I kind of felt like with the Disney Plus issue was they felt like, I think they didn't just focus on the specific Marvel characters where a TV show would work. They decided like to do a whole bunch of different ones, and I didn't think every character worked for a streaming series. Plus, then they were expecting you to watch all these streaming series in order to watch the next phase of Marvel. By the way, hi Wolf, how are you doing? We're talking about why everything sucks now. Like I felt like there was some really good, like I think the grounded superheroes like Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, that all worked when it was on Netflix because they were very grounded superhero characters. So I felt like it could work for a long-term, like, ongoing series. When you started to go into like all this WandaVision and like all these other characters that were already very popular in the movies, and then you shove them into a TV series, and then expected everybody to watch that TV series in order to like just continue on with the movies. I don't know, I felt like it was too much. I felt like it was too much, and you're expecting too much of the audience, especially nowadays where everybody's got short-term attention spans. Try sitting in a movie theater nowadays, and you've got all these younger people who don't want to sit there that long. If it doesn't keep their attention, they're not gonna sit there. It's like expecting too many things to watch. On a deeper level, do we live in a time where we just don't care anymore? Our world seems hopeless. I think that's part of it too, because I was going to get into that a little later about like how everything's expensive. It's I think one of the things that's gonna really hurt video games, because you're expecting the next wave of consoles is gonna be in like a freaking 1,000 and up range. And then on top of that, you can't get physical media, but you're expected to pay the same price you would for physical media for digital, and then not really own it. And somebody could just wipe it out, or edit it, or change it, or hack it. I think everything's so expensive, people can't enjoy life. And there's my theory after this video I'm going to talk about on why that is. But let's just finish the video for now, and I'll get into it.
Video games. The video game industry has the exact same problem as Hollywood. Massive corporations became so afraid of failure that they started designing games like financial products instead of art. Modern AAA gaming increasingly feels like executives trying to engineer recurring revenue streams. Games now launch unfinished constantly. Cyberpunk became infamous for releasing in a broken state. Battlefield 2042 launched missing basic features. Other huge titles increasingly arrive packed with patches. Microtransactions, battle passes, cosmetic stores, roadmaps, you name it. Turning players into beta testers for a product they already paid $70 for. And
my brother and I were just talking about it. I think it was Street Fighter. He was mentioning that he had like bought Street Fighter, and he was excited to play it. But then he found out he had to like log into Capcom and have an account with them that he's paying for monthly in order to play certain features of Street Fighter, and he was like, screw that shit. Like, screw that shit. He's like, why do I need to like have an account with Capcom and be paying an additional monthly fee on top of the price I paid for the video game? Because I don't want to play this online, I just want to play it on my console. And it kind of felt like they were forcing him to do it. Now, I didn't try it, so I don't know if there was an option. But I remember the whole, back in the day, the Battlefield Star Wars game, where suddenly there was a whole bunch of microtransactions. My brother was pissed. It got ridiculous. And I feel like that's what's happening. It's like, oh wait, you want to advance? Now you have to get this DLC. Or you want this? You're going to have to pay for this. It's all a money grab, and it's getting ridiculous. Yes, we need to return to retro. I agree, Wolf.
so many AAA games have started blending together. Open world maps are filled with repetitive objectives, and crafting systems are shoved into everything. Live service mechanics designed to keep players grinding forever instead of delivering satisfying, complete experiences. Publishers have become obsessed with engagement metrics because games like Fortnite and Destiny 2 prove that keeping players trapped inside an ecosystem is more profitable than simply selling a great standalone game. Ironically, the ballooning cost of a AAA development made the industry less innovative. When games cost hundreds of millions of dollars to produce, executives stopped taking creative risks, just like Hollywood. Everything has to appeal to the widest possible audience, and everything has to be safe. Back in the day, older video games were designed around a pretty simple idea. Make something fun enough that players genuinely want to keep playing. Modern gaming increasingly operates on a completely different philosophy: manipulate players into never leaving. It's why so many games today feel like psychological retention systems instead of immersive experiences, with FOMO mechanics specifically designed to make players feel anxious about missing content if they stop playing for more than 3 days. Entire games are now engineered around engagement metrics. You can feel the difference immediately when you compare older titles to modern live service games. Games like Halo 3, Skyrim, or BioShock primarily wanted to immerse you in a memorable experience.
Yeah, stuff that you used to play video games in order to achieve now is behind a paywall. It's true. Webslinger, hi, welcome. No gaming. We're doing the PlayStation Blackout this week. Hi, Bo. You're just in time for the. We're talking about why everything sucks now, and I found this video. It's about 2 months old. The guy's called The Movie Cynic, and it's really kind of gets into a lot of the reasons why entertainment sucks right now. We were just talking about movies and video games, and now he's on to, movies and television shows, and now we're on to video games. So we were discussing, like, right now, video games, like how there were features that you used to earn as you went along the game that now feel like they're all stuck behind a paywall. So that's what we're doing. We're watching this video. I will jump back in a moment.
Players to have fun, to overcome challenges, to lose themselves in a world. Meanwhile, modern games increasingly want players checking virtual, exhausting to-do lists. And yes, there are still incredible games being made, but corporate gaming learned something terrifying over the past decade. Addictive systems make absurd amounts of money. Fortnite's live service ecosystem proved publishers could turn player attention itself into a monetized resource. Now, about music. Oh, man, I take this one personally. Where do I start? Well, TikTok, I guess. TikTok changed how music is discovered and how it's made. Songs are shorter now, and hooks arrive almost immediately. Intros barely exist anymore, because artists know they have about 7 seconds to stop someone from swiping away to the next video. Like most everything else, modern music increasingly feels engineered for algorithmic performance instead of emotional longevity. Labels chase viral clips more than timeless albums, while
Yeah, I know the mic is heat cupping. I spent an hour and a half trying to fix it, and I don't know what it is. I went online trying to see what I could do to solve it, and it's just been shit. I'm gonna have to play with it tomorrow when I'm not online and just see if I can get it working. For some reason, like I said, once I just plug in one thing for the first time trying to react to a video, I can't be like everybody else where I can just plug it in and go. It seems like everything has to screw up, and this is the reason I need a new PC. But music. Oh, I can talk about music for the longest time. I don't even have many new favorite artists anymore. I feel like everything is generic. Like, I used to be a big fan of K-pop. I loved K-pop, but I feel like K-pop in the past few years has been trying to cater so much to the Western sound that it's no different than what I'm hearing over here now, with the exception it's in Korean. And sometimes that's not even. Now they're singing in English. Now they're singing in English.
Are designed around 15-second snippets that can explode on social media, even if the full track itself sucks ass. Entire choruses now sound like they were written specifically to become trending audio. We've also lost a lot of soul in music. One of the most interesting observations about this came from Rick Beato, who argued that music has become disconnected from ordinary people because the economics of becoming a musician completely changed. Decades ago, bands could survive working normal day jobs while building a local music scene at night. You could grind your way upwards slowly, but now most young people can barely survive financially working one job, let alone dedicate thousands of unpaid hours to rehearsing, touring, and creating music. So, more often than not now, the people who can afford to pursue music seriously come from wealthier backgrounds. Rich kids have the financial cushion to spend years building artistic careers without immediately worrying about survival. And whether intentional or not, that can...
Doesn't it feel like most of the big new stars, especially movies, and probably even in music, I can't really tell you that much, but everybody seems like a nepo baby. Like, I feel like almost every big star, there's exceptions, I know there is, because somebody's going to jump in there and put in, like, the one or two exceptions. But most of them feel like somebody, they're either their parents or grandparents or uncle or aunt is, like, somebody in the industry already, and now suddenly they're getting all the movie contracts and the record deals and etc. I don't feel like we're really building too many actual talent that's come out of nowhere. Like, everything is blood related now. And I know that was the big thing in K-pop. That was the reason a lot of people like BTS, was because in K-pop there used to be 3 big companies, and to get into these companies you had to pull strings, and a lot of them had money. They came from wealthy backgrounds. You'll see a lot of K-pop stars suddenly talking about like their lives, and you find out they were living luxury, and dad was friends with whoever is that was the head of that company, and they got pushed ahead because of it. And the thing, what I understood with the K-pop industry, is that when you went in there and you got accepted to train there, which didn't guarantee you would become part of a group or a solo artist, you would still have to pay them back for everything they put into you. So if you're poor and suddenly you don't get chosen for a group and they kind of drop you, you kind of had a debt. That was outrageous. And if you did become big and you didn't have a cushion to fall back on, all that money for touring and music sales and all went towards all that training. And I know BTS was kind of like the weird exception, because it was a small company that was trying to compete with the big 3 at the time. They were kind of discriminated against when they went on different big K-pop shows. I heard they even cut their like scenes from live shows. Like when they would go on perform, the cameras would cut off. So they were kind of like the underdog that kind of like changed things a bit. I don't know how much they've changed it, but they were the ones that had nothing, and they were able to succeed. But K-pop generally is kind of like a well, if you got the money and you got the connections, you're getting in there. Again, there's always exceptions.
Music that feels more detached from everyday struggle and ordinary life experiences. That doesn't mean talented artists don't still exist, but modern music increasingly feels shaped by privilege and virality instead of raw human connection and lived experience. And musicians used to feel larger than life, where there was a mystery to them. You would see an interview occasionally, maybe catch them on MTV, maybe read about them in a magazine, and that distance helped create mythology around artists. People became obsessed with the music partly because the artists themselves still felt unknowable.
Ain't that the truth? That's not just with musicians, it's with actors. I think celebrities in music and acting reveal way too much about themselves now. I don't need to know your politics. I don't need to know your stance on different things. It's destroyed the mystery about them, and it's made them too, like, what's the word I want to use? Like, too flawed. Like, you like the mystery, you like the whole mystique about celebrities. Now it's like, and I'll give a great example because I was just tweeting on this not too long ago, Mark Ruffalo. I cannot stand seeing him in anything anymore. Not because I don't think he's a good actor or not, but because every time I see him, I think about all his damn tweets. I think about him protesting and going on about this and going on about that. And it's just kind of like, shut up. Just shut up. Because you've ruined things. You're ruining things. I don't care what you believe in. A lot of it's stupid in my opinion, but that's your choice. But going out there and putting yourself out there dampens people's expectations. Like, it really kind of like turns people off of watching stuff. They don't agree with you. They're gonna just like walk away from it. And it's like, I hate when I see all these celebrities coming out, oh, we need to talk about Palestine, or we need to talk about whatever the political thing of the week is. You know, and especially if they get really behind something, a lot of the normal everyday people are just like, really? You're supporting that? And then they get all shocked. It's kind of like Brie Larson. If you notice back during the Captain Marvel thing when she wouldn't shut up, it really damaged her. Now she barely talks about any of this stuff because I think she realized she wants a career. Yes, they're hypocrites. They're absolutely hypocrites.
Though musicians are basically full-time content creators. Modern artists are expected to constantly post on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube Shorts, and whatever new app Silicon Valley invented next week. They're selling way more than music now. They're also selling personalities, lifestyles, relationships, political opinions, memes, behind-the-scenes footage, and carefully manufactured relatability, of course. Labels increasingly expect artists to maintain engagement 24/7. Because attention itself became part of the product. And you can feel how artificial a lot of it is. So many celebrities now talk like brands pretending to be people, and their candid moments feel suspiciously curated. Controversy farming became part of the strategy too. Public feuds and cryptic social media posts, anything that keeps engagement numbers high, between album releases. Artists increasingly operate like influencers because in the social media era, disappearing for 2 years to quietly work on music is considered commercially dangerous. The downside is that mystique is basically dead. Artists feel overexposed and constantly available instead of mythological. Ironically, the more accessible celebrities became, the less culturally special many of them started to feel. Now, this is the point where all of these problems connect together. Movies, television, music, gaming, YouTube, social media, they're all increasingly controlled by the same invisible force, the algorithm. I've mentioned it in each one, now let's talk about it, because the algorithm became the real studio executive. Entertainment companies no longer primarily ask, is this meaningful, or is this good? They ask, will this maximize engagement? That single shift changed modern culture forever. YouTube creators chase watch time and click-through rates. Netflix studies completion percentages and viewer retention data. TikTok optimizes for swipe prevention every fraction of a second. Spotify recommendation systems reward music that performs well in playlists and algorithmic discovery. Game studios obsess over player engagement metrics and daily active users. Everything became data-driven. And to be fair, algorithms aren't evil by themselves. They're incredibly effective at figuring out what keeps people consuming content. The problem is that what keeps people engaged isn't always what leaves the deepest emotional impact. Fast dopamine hits outperform slow artistic buildup. So over time, entertainment industries naturally begin reshaping themselves around whatever the algorithm rewards most. Movies became safer and music became shorter, while games became more addictive. TV became more disposable, and online creators became louder, faster, and more exaggerated because subtlety performs terribly in algorithmic systems that are designed around instant reaction.
And here's the thing, I don't think the algorithm, just because something hits big on it, means that's what people want. And I think that's the problem. They're way too focused on the 6-7 of the moment than they are on what's going to continually get people back into the movies or download the song or play the video game. They're way too focused on what's trending at that moment, what is popular at that moment. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's popular because people like it. And I don't know if they're looking at that. If they'll see, Supergirl hit real big on the algorithm. Let's look at the reviews and why it hit big on the algorithm. People were probably bitching about it. I don't necessarily think the algorithm is very dependable. I got shit that comes into my YouTube feed or on my X feed that the algorithm decided I need to look at, but it's not really what I want to look at. It's just there because maybe one word triggered it, or something I clicked on was about something, and then when I realized what it was, I got off, and suddenly it's like, oh, she looked at that, so let's flood it. Let's flood her timeline with it.
real crisis modern entertainment faces. We handed culture over to more than just corporations. We handed it over to engagement machines. And to keep your attention, the internet figured out something incredibly dangerous over the past decade. Angry people stay online longer than happy people do. Outrage became one of the most profitable forms of entertainment on Earth. Social media platforms learned that anger drives engagement better than almost anything else. People might smile at a positive post and scroll away, but if they see something that irritates them, they comment, they argue, they quote tweet it. They make response videos. Hell, I literally made a YouTube channel as a response to things irritating me in my favorite pastime, watching movies. From the algorithm's perspective, that's fantastic for business. And modern entertainment culture slowly reshaped itself around that reality. Fandoms became permanent war zones where every casting decision, trailer, or franchise announcement instantly turns into ideological combat. Entertainment journalism increasingly relies on inflammatory headlines because everyone commonly enjoyed this movie doesn't generate traffic. But this new casting decision has fans furious? Absolutely does. Anger creates momentum. Controversy spreads faster than appreciation. The exhausting part is that people often don't even realize how much this affects their relationship with entertainment itself. Movies, games, music, and TV have become more than things people just experience. They've become battlegrounds for online tribalism and algorithmically amplified conflict. Now let's take a look at the internet itself, because
Yeah, and I think that's what happened early on in this culture war. And I'm going to use the movie that set it off for me, and that was The Last Jedi. You suddenly found people in the industry, directors, the heads of the studio, instead of sitting here going, okay, they didn't like it, so maybe we should change directions. Instead, they decided to farm that hate and try to use that to engage more people in watching it. I don't think it's worked, but for some reason, they're somehow making money off the anger. You've got all those YouTube channels popped up calling out all the BS, all the tweets. It's almost like they found a way secretly to make money or something off of it, because why do you keep instigating the fan base? There's got to be something we're not seeing where they're just like, yeah, let them get pissed. We're just going to call them all the names in the book. We have like a whole list of what we're going to call them depending on what the scenario is, and that's what we're going to do. And it's pretty ridiculous. By the way, I see 11 people are watching. Hi guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Welcome to my channel. I appreciate you being here. Let's continue with this.
Of Mr. Beast fundamentally changed internet content creation. And to be clear, this isn't really about him personally. He simply mastered the system better than anyone else. The problem is that the entire internet started copying the formula afterward. Now everything's optimized within an inch of its life. Hyperactive editing, constant jump cuts, those goofy-ass giant reaction thumbnails. And you can see creators slowly turning themselves into products because the algorithm rewards consistency over humanity. You're expected to upload constantly, maintain engagement constantly, monitor analytics constantly, and endlessly optimize titles, pacing, thumbnails, and audience retention graphs. Even talented creators, who clearly care about making meaningful work, often end up trapped inside systems that punish slowing down or experimenting. The fake authenticity from creators like that is wild too. Modern creators are expected to feel relatable, vulnerable, emotional, marketable, and endlessly available all at once. And it's all exhausting to bear witness to. The internet used to feel messy and human, where people uploaded weird videos because they wanted to create something. Now so much online content feels like creators reverse engineering human psychology in real time, to maximize watch time. And as easy as it is to blame corporations for all this, audiences helped create the problem too. Because companies didn't invent these systems randomly. They adapted to what people consistently reward. Viewers constantly say they want originality, but over and over again, familiar franchises dominate the box office. For every Project Hail Mary, there are a dozen failed projects that tell Hollywood to stop taking those risks. People complain about Hollywood making endless sequels while simultaneously turning Deadpool and Wolverine or legacy franchise films into massive hits. Gamers criticize predatory live service mechanics while spending billions on skins, battle passes, and microtransactions. Music fans say modern songs feel disposable disposable while boosting the exact same viral trends over and over on TikTok. Simply put, corporations notice something that's hard to admit. Convenience often beats quality. Those algorithms, they remove friction. Endless content gives instant gratification. People complain about slop while consuming industrial quantities of it.
Do you agree with that? I don't know if I entirely do. I don't think, and this is my problem with the original stuff, I think Project Hail Mary we got lucky with because it did get marketed well. But I feel like there is some new projects out there. They're far and few in between. Don't get the marketing. Or they get bad marketing. So it kind of turns you off before you give it a chance. I mean, I know it's another IP, but let's look at Masters of the Universe. Like, the original marketing campaign for that, I was not interested in watching that movie. There was all the usual talking points in the interviews, saying stuff like, oh, we're going to cover toxic masculinity. When they were doing the trailer, they focused a lot on the pronoun thing, on Adam's name desk tag or whatever it's called. And I was already going, red flags. But I think also a lot of other original stuff, I don't think Hollywood really wants to make. And if it gets through, it's because you've got somebody really pushing for it. Like, Ryan Gosling is pretty well established, and I would say. I think he produced that, I'm not sure, but I think, like, if you got somebody like him really pushing for it, it'll get out there. But I think, like, the newer original stuff gets drowned in the onslaught of marketing for all these IPs. Again, there's something we don't know, that these companies are making money off failures. There's got to be. Because I don't understand how we're constantly getting really bad movies, and they will move the goalposts. Like, if you look at the latest Superman and Supergirl movie, they will say, oh, it did well, and then you look at the numbers, it really didn't do as well. So I don't know if I fully agree with the fact that they're saying that nobody's taking chances on new original stuff. I don't think there's a lot of spotlight being put on it for people to know about it. That's my opinion.
Let's be honest, passive entertainment is easy. But modern audiences aren't stupid. No, it's that modern platforms are incredibly effective at exploiting human psychology. These systems are designed by teams of analysts, marketers, and engineers, whose entire job is maximizing attention and consumption. With all that said, pretending audiences have no role in this would make this conversation way too simplistic. Entertainment industries became addicted to those algorithms and engagement because those systems work. People kept clicking, watching, scrolling, buying, consuming. Corporations followed the incentives exactly where they led. That's what makes this problem so difficult to solve. The system isn't being forced on society entirely from above. In a lot of ways, modern entertainment became a reflection of what audiences consistently reward with their time, money, and attention. The problem underneath all of that is that entertainment stopped being treated primarily as art and started being treated like data science. Art became a math equation. It happens to everything eventually. Take a look at what analytics have done to sports. That mindset fundamentally changes the feeling of entertainment itself. So many modern movies, shows, games, and songs feel oddly self-aware and terrified of sincerity. Every script gets polished by committees, and every rough edge gets sanded down. Every potentially divisive creative choice gets questioned because executives fear alienating portions of their audience or disrupting engagement metrics. But some of the most beloved works in entertainment history were messy, strange, and deeply personal. Star Wars was considered weird when George Lucas made it. The Matrix was an unconventional sci-fi gamble. The Sopranos reshaped television by embracing morally ugly characters. Even games like Metal Gear Solid or Silent Hill became legendary because they felt personal, experimental, and creatively uncompromised and wild. And modern systems often suppress exactly those qualities. That's why so much entertainment now feels feels emotionally hollow, even when it's technically impressive. Human beings connect to personality, they connect to imperfection and vulnerability, and we like creative obsession. Meanwhile, algorithms optimize for smoothness and mass appeal. The good news is that this situation isn't hopeless. A lot of these problems were created by industries making specific business decisions, which means different decisions could genuinely improve things over time. For Hollywood especially, the solution probably isn't making movies bigger, but making them smaller again. Studios became obsessed with $250 million franchise spectacles because they wanted massive global returns, but that strategy also made the industry terrified of risk. When one movie costs the GDP of a small country, executives naturally panic and start focus testing the shit out of it. Mid-budget filmmaking needs to come back in a serious way. Thrillers, dramas, comedy, sci-fi films, original concepts, something that can succeed without needing to make $1 billion. Studios also need to stop treating theatrical releases like temporary advertisements for streaming platforms.
Yes. I feel like the movie theater experience is no longer what it used to be. Like, yes, I feel like certain films you need to watch in a movie theater. But now I feel like it's all short term, and what's the point of going to go sit in a movie theater watch it if in a couple weeks it's going to be on Netflix? It's really true, and I think I think some of these budgets are getting out of hand. I think it's gotten so bad, like, CGI alone, I think, is become too much. I think we need to bring back more practical effects. I don't think everything needs to be CGI'd. I remember back in the day when we were making fun of the Ryan Reynolds, like, Green Lantern film, because that thing, besides the bad writing, was so full of CGI, even later Ryan was making fun of it. But now everything feels like it's in front of a green screen. Like, everything feels like it's in front of a green screen, to the point you know it's in front of a green screen. It doesn't feel natural. Like, it doesn't feel like it fits in with the live acting. It just looks like you could tell it's a green screen. And I would like to see more lower budget products. Like, I think we can make better films without being so highly budget. That's my opinion on that.
Part of what made movies feel culturally important was the event itself. Longer theatrical exclusivity windows would help restore that sense of anticipation and value. Creative freedom matters too. Some of the best modern successes happened because filmmakers were allowed to take genuine risk. Everything Everywhere All at Once, for example, became a massive phenomenon precisely because it felt weird and unlike anything else. Audiences are starving for originality more than executives realize. The key, though, is to make it good. But audiences also have to decide what they actually want, because right now there's a massive disconnect between what people say they value and what they consistently reward with their attention and money. If audiences genuinely want original entertainment to survive, they have to keep showing up like they did for awesome projects like Project Hail Mary. Don't go to the bad ones, I certainly don't blame you. But otherwise, people can't complain that Hollywood only makes sequels and then ignore smaller original films in favor of the 15th franchise installment they already know. Mid-budget movies, experimental games, and risky music only survive if people actually show up for them.
Again, I don't agree with that, because I think that a lot of the small budget or original films aren't getting marketed. And I think you see in, say, I'm going to use video games. You have games like Expedition 33, that is an indie game that took off big time because it appealed to the gamers. It was about just having a good time, a really good game where people could have a good time. Pal World. I enjoy Pal World. I might not be the best gamer, but I'm enjoying Pal World. That's a new original IP game. Yeah, okay, you could say it's a knockoff of Pokemon, but I think it's still fun. So I don't know if I fully agree with this, because I think when it comes to marketing original movies, I don't see them pushing them as hard as they would the big blockbuster sequels. And I think Project Hail Mary and something like Barbie were the exception, because Barbie was based on a popular IP that might not have been a live action movie before, but it had a fan base. Project Hail Mary, I think, was more of an exception. I don't see Hollywood pushing those original films. I really don't. But I see in gaming they get found out about. And I think you got services like Steam and all that help with that. Where people can kind of jump in on a beta test and like with Pal World. You know, and I think that's really what's helped those type of games out. But again, with movies, I don't see them pushing anything that's not really a popular IP. I don't.
Not saying to support dog shit just because it's indie, but if it's good, tell people about it. See, there's actually a hopeful sign buried underneath all this negativity. Whenever something genuinely human breaks through, people respond to it passionately. Project Hail Mary exploded because it felt emotionally sincere and creatively alive. Smaller games like Baldur's Gate 3 gained massive goodwill because players could feel actual care and craftsmanship behind them. That tells me audiences aren't emotionally dead. Quite the opposite. Says that people are starving for authenticity. They're starving for art that feels risky, imperfect, and human again. I don't think people actually hate modern entertainment nearly as much as they say they do. It's something else. What people really hate is the feeling underneath it all. The sense that so much of modern culture is no longer trying to connect with them emotionally, but manipulate them psychologically. That's why audiences have become so cynical. People didn't suddenly stop loving movies, games, music, or storytelling, but they do remember what it feels like when art genuinely hits them, when a movie feels dangerous, or when an album feels personal, when a game feels immersive, or a show becomes part of people's lives, instead of just background noise playing while they scroll on their phones. Yeah, everything sucks. And that hunger for something real never actually disappeared. If anything, it's stronger now, precisely because modern entertainment often feels so artificial. But no matter how optimized culture becomes, genuinely human creativity always finds its way back, because human beings fundamentally crave meaning more than convenience. Algorithms can manufacture attention and addiction, and even temporary trends, but they still can't fully manufacture soul. Before I go, a quick shout out to everyone over on Patreon who support me. I really appreciate you guys, as always. Make sure to check that out for more reviews and video essays like this one that are exclusive to Patreon. And there are even more videos like this one on my second channel, Cynic After Dark. Also, get your name in a video. Links to everything in the description. GG.
So guys, go ahead and go and subscribe to Movie Cynic. Like I said, I don't know if I agree with everything he was saying. I do agree with a lot of it. Right on top of everybody. I think he made some good points, but then I think there's a lot of other stuff people don't want to talk about. That's why I'm here. I'm going to talk about it. I agree with Hollywood and video games and all just being highly dependent on popular IPs, but not putting in the effort on those IPs that they should be, or doing something like subverting expectations. Oh, we love that term, don't we? Subverting expectations. I hate that term. Maybe once upon a time I could have understood it, but I really hate that damn term. I'll give a good example. It's the Green Lantern show they got. Oh, I'm sorry, the Lanterns. They won't even call it Green Lantern. That whole show. And I want to say something first, up front. I don't think you should feel obligated to watch something if you've watched the marketing for it and it looks like utter dog shit. Because there's a lot of people who feel like you are obligated, especially if you're a fan of it, fan of the original source material, that you should go ahead and watch it. I knew from the minute I watched those trailers exactly what was going to happen. They were going to change the lore. They were not going to make this a space epic. They were going to tear down Hal Jordan, kill him possibly. That's up in the air, even though it looks like he is dead. Change Jon Stewart completely. And throw in some political theming. And from what I hear, I'm right. So I'm not wasting my money or my time on watching. And I don't think that means I don't have a right to judge it. I think anybody has a right to judge something based on what was marketed to them. If it looks like shit, it's probably most likely gonna be shit. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, like, I was reading this article, and it's about these two writers. I cannot say their names. One of them is Romanian. The other guy, I think he's Russian. And they had written a book. I was going to get the book, but the book's over $100. Don't ask me why. Don't know. Called Communism and Culture. And one of the biggest things we've noticed right now in our culture here in this country and some of the other Western countries, there's a lot of people who are pushing socialism and even communism because for some reason they think it's great because they get free shit. It's the dumbest freaking mentality I have seen in a while, and there's been a lot of dumb shit. But it makes you start to think, because a lot of people in Hollywood are kind of supporting this bullshit. And if this was during the McCarthy era, there would be a whole witch hunt on these people. But in this book, one of the guys, the Romanian, he grew up in a communist family. His parents were part of the Romanian Communist Party. And this other guy is a professor of art history. And this book was written back in 2022, and they were talking about how communism uses entertainment to manipulate their people. And one of the lines they have in here, and it goes like this, on how communism views entertainment. The only possibility to continue to justify art under communism was to make it die. It had to give up beauty and become useful. I want you to think about that for a moment. If you look at movies prior to this whole like cult mentality of political parties and people thinking suddenly what used to be viewed as the bad suddenly being viewed as the good, the quality has died. The beauty in entertainment has mostly died. There is exceptions. We just talked about some of those exceptions. But most of the beauty has died. One of the things they did with entertainment, especially during Stalin's era, was that they would reinvent what the hero was, who the hero was of their story. Now for us, the hero, and I'm going to use the original Star Wars trilogy. Star Wars, I'm going to lean on that a lot. Luke Skywalker is the young, naive guy who gets pulled into this intergalactic war. He joins the rebellion. He learns to be a Jedi Knight, and his whole motivation is to take down the Empire, who's been a great dictator over the universe, and take down the main bad guy, who is Darth Vader. As time goes on, you find out there's somebody over him. But as his journey continues, he starts to learn about Darth Vader. He finds out who Darth Vader is to him. I think at this point I'm not spoiling anything. You know, he's his dad. And how his dad got tempted by the dark side. And whatever your religious beliefs are, you can almost look at it this like a Christian lens. How Luke realizes there's still somebody in there who could be forgiven. There's still somebody who can come back from the dark side. And he is convinced of that because he believes in this. And he actually, come here, he believes that his father could come back from that. So by the end of Return of the Jedi, he succeeds. It's his father who takes down the Emperor, not him. This is the kind of heroes we in the Western free society would look upon, right? People who are willing to go against the establishment, especially if that establishment was corrupt and trying to tear down the little people, suppressing them, taking away their freedom, you know, fighting on behalf of justice. In Stalin's era in entertainment, I wrote this down, so I'm sorry if I'm looking at my notes. The heroic pioneers were glorified laborers, people who worked the fields and mined the caves. So it was the workers, not somebody who would go above, risk their lives to save people. It was the laborers. I'm not joking. This is all in this article. In this book, sorry. It would also highlight people, ready for this, who would call out those who spoke up against the government, you know, rat them out to the police. This was what they pushed as heroes in their movies. And kind of crazy, right? Now I want to, like, think about it. Hi, how are you? I think, was that Kamichi Ellis? I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I butcher names all the time. Don't hate me. But hi, welcome to my channel. Guys, there's 17 people watching. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. We're talking about how entertainment sucks. I'm getting into, like, this theory. I'm talking about during Stalin's time with communism, how they used entertainment to manipulate the people into falling in line with communism. Oh, I did pronounce it correctly? Thank you! And like I was saying, our idea of the hero is the guy or girl who would go up against the oppressive establishment that was holding people back, that was, you know, suppressing them, starving them, taking away their rights, and would free everybody. Kind of like Luke Skywalker defeating the Empire, but at the same time also freeing his father from the dark side. Their idea of the hero that they would push is the people who would work the fields or the caves, the people who would rat out anybody they felt like. What do you mean it's you said subscribe in the chat, but your chat subscription feature is disabled on Twitch? Really? I gotta look at that. That sounds right. Well, they would pick these people, they would focus on the workers, because they were pushing this idea that the workers were the people that were the heroes of the country because they kept it going. Or they would get rid of the problem people by ratting out people. Why is my subscription? I always feel like everything's going wrong today. I was trying to get, like, watch a video and subscriptions. How do I activate? So, hold on. I'm gonna figure it out while we talk about this. So it wasn't, again, not to sound like a broken record, it wasn't the people who would fight for people. It was the people who worked for the government. The little people who would slave in the fields and the caves. That was their idea of the hero. Now, why do I bring that up? Because in our modern entertainment, a lot of the heroes that we once saw as the people who were true heroes are now being deconstructed. Luke Skywalker went from the guy who took down the Emperor, freed his father from the dark side, refused to kill him because he knew there was still good in him, to the guy who sensed a little evil in his nephew and decided he was going to kill him with one swing. Like, no hesitation. He was going to kill him. Like, he was like, I'm just going to kill you. Why is this not... One second, I'm not letting me... Strange, I can't suddenly get people to Drive. Alright, well, so, as you can see, they changed Luke Skywalker into this unlikable person. He refuses to train Rey, and if he does, it doesn't feel sincere, like he's just kind of telling her off. She's got to figure it out on her own. And then you can look at Rey, like, what is really Rey's motivation? What is Rey's motivation through the trilogy? Is it really about taking down this new version of the Empire, or is it just about Kylo Ren? Like, she's got this obsession with Kylo Ren. We can also look at how other heroes, and I'm going to use Scarlet Witch as an example of her going full evil on a town, brainwashing everybody, changing everything, turning it into this dystopia of 1950s television, and then mind raping everybody, and then when they break free, instead of being punished like she normally would be in a normal superhero setting, she's suddenly viewed as, oh, you're just the victim, nobody knows what you went through, we feel bad for you. And I kind of feel like this is what's happening. They're kind of like changing the whole perspective of what a hero is in these movies. And it's not good. Like, heroes now have to be unlikable. Like, you gotta, like, oh, dude's got privilege. Dude's doing this. You want to be a real hero, look at this person. And you look at that person, you're like, that person's a freaking asshole. I don't enjoy this person at all. But, oh, no, that's what you have to like as a hero now. Another thing I found interesting, and this is getting more now into Marxism. Like, Marxism is mostly atheist. Now, I don't care what your beliefs are, but the reason I'm bringing this part up is, if you could tell, Christianity has now become, and other religions, viewed as more problematic, and the evil, the bad guys are dim-witted. So it's presented that way, and so much of, certain religions, however, are being held up. I don't even know why, because normally them as evil. Like, I see a lot with, like, Disney. There's, like, an influx of, like, suddenly cartoons coming out. Was it called Hex that's coming out, where suddenly, like, being a witch is a good thing? Like, being a witch and, you know, rebelling against your parents is a good thing. I can't help but notice this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I keep going to my pad because that's what I have everything written down on. Another thing communism does with entertainment, and this is what I really want to get into right now, is they prioritize labor over consumer goods and leisure. Meaning that they would do things that would lead to a shortage of basic entertainment technology like televisions, records, and film stock. So a lot of ordinary citizens in communist countries could not get a hold of that because they didn't want them to be distracted from labor. And why do I bring that up? Let's take a look. By the way, I see 20 people watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I heard there's something going on Twitch. I hope to figure that out soon. Everything feels like you're getting priced out of entertainment. PlayStation's next console is probably going to be over $1,000. I heard something similar with the Xbox. Not everybody can afford that. At that point, you might as well just get a PC and game on that, because at least you can upgrade that. Games themselves have become incredibly expensive. What is the new GTA? Is it GTA 6? I don't play those games, but isn't it going to be almost like $100 or more? And it's not even going to be a physical disc. I mean, going to a theme park now, you have to take a loan out to go to a theme park, to go to Disney, or I think even Universal. I haven't checked on Universal's prices. But everything's getting incredibly expensive. Like, you're getting priced out of entertainment. You're getting priced out of leisure. Vacation? Heck, you know what I did for vacation this year? Stayed home because I couldn't afford to go much places. Maybe I went to get a coffee at the coffee shop. But everything's like getting hard to get your hands on too. We were just talking about the reason we're doing the PlayStation Blackout this week, why I'm not playing video games, is because everything's going digital. Now some people be like, I don't know what the big deal is. It's easy to download digital and have it. Sure. Let me tell you a story about Comixology. There was a point where Comixology launched, and that's where you can buy and download comic books that you supposedly owned. Okay? You supposedly owned your own comic books. And then Amazon bought Comixology and wiped everybody's inventory out. So you lost all those digital comic books you bought. They already were pulling movies off PlayStations that people had purchased that were no longer there. Another problem with digital is that somebody can just go into it and edit it. Like, if they felt like something now is problematic in there, they're going to change it. I think a good example is somebody had, like, done a clip of before and after of the Lilo and Stitch movie, where you had, like, I think she was hiding in or Stitch was hiding in, like, a pizza oven, and then they changed it to something else. I mean, it sounds minor, but soon, what if they decide other things are problematic? And what if they decided the whole thing is problematic and they just pull it off the file? And you're spending the same amount of money you would pay for if you bought a physical copy, which I also think is ridiculous. Because now you don't even have a physical copy, you're paying the same amount of money, and you can't hold on to it. I feel like they're taking away entertainment and leisure from it. They're making it harder to get a hold of, or they're making it harder to keep. They're making it harder to go and enjoy anything because everything's getting expensive. Even things at home are getting expensive. Electric's getting expensive, gas is getting expensive, groceries are getting expensive. It's like they want to keep you in one place. Am I wrong? What are your thoughts? I feel like they're trying to manipulate you with the entertainment you can get and trying to force you into believe things that you might not agree with. They're changing characters so that there's something completely different than what you've known. Christina says they edited Star Wars so Greedo shoots at Han Solo first. Didn't happen. Solo just killed him in the original. Yes. And again, that might sound minor to somebody, but what else will they have the power to edit? I mean, come on, let's think about this. Yeah, killed him. I know. Soon, entertainment will just be for the elite, for the chosen people. That's where it feels like it's going. Absolutely does. And I know everybody wants to complain about the woke and all that other stuff, which they have every right to. Every right to, but I don't think we're seeing the bigger problem. We're getting priced out of enjoyment. Escapism. And the little escapism that we still have is dictating to us what we should be. Just like they did in Stalin's era. Just like they did in other communism countries. They're reimagining your heroes. They're telling you that this is what you should accept as a hero, and that what you did like as a hero is now bad. They want you more focused on working, and they want to limit your access. And when I read that, I felt like, yeah, that's pretty much that thing that's been nagging me in the back of the head on why do this? Why get mad at people for not liking when you change stuff they liked? Stuff they had supported, stuff that they had long invested in. IPs that have been popular for centuries. Alright, not centuries, I'm getting a little overboard there. But you know what I'm saying. Characters that have existed near the end of the 1930s, early 1940s. Characters that existed from the end of the 1950s into the 1960s. Classical books that are even older. Look what they did to Robin Hood recently with Hugh Jackman. They turned him into a bad guy that somewhat has a conscience. He's no longer the guy trying to steal back the money for the people who had it stolen from them through taxes. He's just now a sorry, I can't speak. He's just a killer. Look at it. 25 people are watching. Hi guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And then they're propping up things I don't necessarily feel comfortable with. One of the things when I stopped making videos for a long time is I reconnected with my faith. This is not me trying to sell you on it. This is me talking about my experience. And going back to being a Catholic and looking at certain things that are now done in the entertainment industry, not just on screen but behind the scenes, makes you feel really uncomfortable. You've even now got actors that you know have freaking skeletons in their closet that could fill a cemetery, telling you what's good and what's not. Hi, Raggedy Man. Sorry, I just saw you. How are you? And then they're shaming you if you're not agreeing with them. Social media has become their platform to call you every name in the book. You don't like this, you're the World War II bad guy. You're an istophobe. They're trying to, like, corner you into this. They're trying to shame you into agreeing. And it's sad. I mean, there's still some people out there making good entertainment, like we were talking about earlier in this live stream. There is. Some of it's harder to get a hold of. Like, I watch a lot of South Korean dramas, and I don't think too much of Hollywood is really looking at that and seeing what's being put out. And if they do, they try to grab some of these actors and shove them into some of these crap films that, like The Acolytes. The Acolytes was just awful. And you got like indie comics that are pretty good so far, and indie video games or Eastern video games. But at some point, I think they're even going to come for those. I really do. Like I were talking about earlier with manga, one of the reasons like I started to hesitate reading as much manga as I used to is I was always wondering if the translation I was reading was what the original mangaka intended. And I have a video on my channel, you can find it, where I teamed up with a friend of mine, Bianca. I actually hired somebody to translate the original Japanese text and compare it to what was translated here in the West by these activists who got hired as translators. And it was really like eye-opening. And if you don't think that if they're doing it there, you know they're doing it in anime and other stuff. Yes, we can bitch about the woke, we can bitch about people trying to cater to an audience that doesn't exist, but I think we really need to think about why they're really doing this. Not to sound paranoid or conspiracy theory, I've never been one for that stuff, but they're trying to rewrite history. They've got these streamers that go on YouTube and try to convince you that maybe we deserve 9/11. As a New Yorker, that pisses me off. It pisses me off. You've got people trying to tell you what you should believe as a man or a woman. Hey, live your life, okay? Whatever. But don't sit here and try to force me into believing it. It's a whole manipulation thing to force you into becoming subservient to their socialist, communist ideas. Trying to guilt you into it. Next, they're going to try other methods. So it's not really just about them, misinterpreting the IP and trying to make it about something they would want to watch. There's more to it. There's absolutely more to it. And reading about these methods that was used in the past by communist and socialist countries. I mean, religion itself, except the one acceptable religion nowadays, is a no-no in communist and socialism because they're primarily atheists. So if you believe in a faith that's not on their checkbox of approval, that's why you look at Christianity in movies now, it's always portrayed as bad. You've got actors and everything running around telling you how Zionists and all that crap. It's sad. And I kind of like hope a lot more people kind of wake up and see what's going on. I really do hope people kind of notice there's something more at play here than just a bunch of like entitled brats trying to rewrite movies to fit what they would want. And I'm sure they really believe that's what they're doing, but they still have to answer to somebody higher up too. I remember seeing like clips of Iran before it got turned into the dystopia it is. It was pretty much a really nice country. Women were allowed to have an education, dress the way they wanted. Streets were clean and modern, at least according to that time period. And then you had a bunch of people who got convinced that they could do better and to overthrow the Shah. And they thought, oh, by voting these people in, we're going to get all this stuff we ever wanted. And then it all backfired in them, and a lot of them got executed. Some of them were able to escape. Downer, but I was thinking about this with entertainment. I think there's a lot more to it than just stuff people have been hyper focused on. Isn't this going to be a fun blackout week for PlayStation? I promise you the next two live streams will be a little more upbeat. I do promise. I'm just laughing at this whole week with PlayStation. I heard about the email. Let's talk about that. I heard there was an email that went out that pretty much told everybody, you don't own shit. You don't own shit. Isn't that lovely? You don't own anything. I wonder if I can find that. The PlayStation email. Let's see if I can find this. Oh, let's see. Let me see if I can do that. Give me a second here, guys. Shrink me down. And did you hear what else they did with Crunchyroll? I know this is probably older news, but they literally let me see. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. There it is. literally went and stopped. What was it? Selling manga? I think they stopped selling manga. I'll look that up next. This up here. Bum bum bum. Okay, so we can read it together. Ah. Sorry, guys. I'm trying. So it says here. PlayStation reminds players of its all-digital future in the worst way possible. Are we surprised? Are we surprised? So it says here, the end is nigh for physical games on PlayStation. Sony is making an effort to remind you of that. The company recently sent out an email reminding people of the terms and conditions they agreed to so they can use PlayStation consoles, underlining the digital purchase grants you a license, not a game. This has left a bitter taste in fans' mouth, especially after Sony announced plans for an all-digital future. Starting January 2028, Sony will erase disc production. If that wasn't bad enough, some games released before 2028 are already hopping on the all-digital bandwagon, as they will not be available in a physical format at all. For example, Grand Theft Auto 6 will be a digital-only game. Any physical edition of GTA 6 will consist only of an empty box containing a download code, so you can go to the store and buy a plastic box. This takes away players' choice to actually own a game by buying a disc. Instead, they will be forced to make digital purchases. People already haven't reacted well to the announcements, which is why the recently sent out email from Sony stung even harder. This particular part of the PlayStation end user license agreement is particularly gut-wrenching. Let's take a look at this, shall we? Let's see what this says. The software is a license to you, not sold. You're granted a limited, non-exclusive, non-transferable, and personal license to play or use the software for your private, non-commercial use on the system or device it was intended for. The license is only effective from the indicated software release date, early access date, or beta release date. Translation, we can take it away from you whenever we want. Any rights in the software that we do not say are granted to you in the license are reserved, including all intellectual properties in the software. It continues. 4.2 Access Restrictions Availability Limits. Virtual content is licensed, not owned. Sony Interactive Entertainment can terminate your access to virtual content, whether paid for or free, if you breach the software terms. What are your terms? If any account associated with the software is closed, terminated, banned, or suspended, or if the software is modified in accordance with Section 3.2, such as the virtual content is disconnected, you understand and agree that in addition to licenses of virtual content being subjected to purchases and cancellation terms and conditions of the storefront vendor, the availability of virtual content is not guaranteed. Prices are subject to change so that suddenly they can charge you more, and order sizes may be limited without prior notice to you. Purchases of virtual content licenses may not be refundable. Please check the terms and conditions of virtual content storefront vendor carefully. Ultimately, Sony wants to remind you players that when they buy a digital game, they don't actually own it. The content is licensed to them and can be revoked or become unavailable later on. While boycott has been organized, which is this week, in response to the PlayStation's all-digital plan, Sony is adamant about going that direction in the future and is unlikely to budge. Yeah. So, screw you, consumers. Like I said, that wasn't the only thing they did. See if I can find this. Da, 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 da. Crunchyroll moves physical content. Here we go. Polygon again. Crunchyroll removes a ton of physical products after locking store behind subscription. The store-owned anime platform rolls out big changes to its store. It's been a turbulent time for Sony-owned anime streaming giant Crunchyroll. Actually, it's been very turbulent for Sony, in my opinion. At least when it comes to its store. After limiting store access only to Mega and Ultimate Fan tier subscriptions in July, which is stupid, by the way, Crunchyroll seems to have now removed the majority of physical media from the platform, according to angry users who took to social media to vent their frustration. As of August 19th, the Crunchyroll store no longer lists manga, light novels, manhwa, or danmi, I think that's the Chinese one, right, for sale. The store still has some DVDs and Blu-rays listed under Home Entertainment section for a total of 387 items, a drastic reduction compared to the previous catalog. The store is now focused on merchandise and exclusive drops, following the line detail in the statement that accompanied the changes rolled out in July. The new store captures the excitement of convention-exclusive merchandise, collectibles, curated drops, and limited release products inspired by the anime series you love. Why does this piss me off most of all? Because Right Stuff Anime died for this. Right Stuff Anime... Let me move this so you guys can see better. Right Stuff Anime... Ugh, moving the wrong thing again. Ugh. Sorry. Right Stuff Anime was the place I used to go to get my manga, because you got good deals, physical copy manga. You could get other stuff there as well, but I was mostly buying my manga from them. Great store, delivered on time, everything packaged well, got the volumes you needed. Crunchyroll then bought them. Crunchyroll shipping pissed me off. Suddenly, volumes were on back order for months. Sometimes they would only ship me out some of my volumes and decide to hold the others until one of the items I was waiting for on back order came in. It pissed me the fuck off. And to know now they're completely getting rid of most of their physical copies in favor of what's trendy at conventions. What the fuck does that mean? Trendy at conventions. Seriously, what does that mean? A bunch of like convention exclusive crap? Alright, maybe it's not all crap, but you know what I mean. I want to get physical manga. I like collecting my manga. I like having it on a bookshelf. I like reading it in hand. Right now I'm on Shonen Jump app. It's not the same. I want my physical manga. You're limiting me down to Amazon and Barnes and Noble. I don't have Books A Million near me, but that's... And oh god, this pisses me off. The policy changes have not proven popular among fans. No shit. Who are comparing them with Sony's controversial decision to end production of physical versions of video games. Yes, Crunchyroll was acquired by Sony in 2021 and later merged with Funimation, which Sony also acquired in 2017. In 2022, Crunchyroll acquired anime e-commerce retailer Right Stuff, which was merged with the Crunchyroll store in 2023. So they bought it to kill their competition. That's pretty much what they did. Physical media still plays a big role among the anime fandom, despite the rise of digital services. Comic books in particular, be it manga or manhwa, are still very popular. Yes! Digital manga are spread across different services owned by publishers such as Manga Plus or K-Manga. Those services require subscriptions or in-app purchases to access the full catalog. meaning that many fans still believe that physical books are the best way to read and collect their favorite series. Physical is always better. I'm sorry, it's always better. Some angry fans believe over the past 3 years, Crunchyroll has progressively dismantled Right Stuff's business model, making it harder to purchase physical products, in a way to push customers towards digital media and streaming. The Crunchyroll store still lists exclusive home entertainment releases such as the Apothecary Diaries Season 1 Blu-ray Steelbook Edition. The company has not put out any official statement regarding the most recent changes to its store. It's still possible these are transitional and manga, manhwa, light novels, and whatever else will become available again in the future. I don't believe it. I literally don't believe it. I think they want to go full on digital. Everything. Digital. So they can control it. That's what they want to do. They want to control everything through digital. They might suddenly only allow you to buy so many. Again, I'm probably jumping. I'm probably over exaggerating, but they'll probably have you only be able to buy so many chapters of a manga. If you want the full manga, upgrade to our mega subscription. Bitch now. But that's what's happening here. Sony wants to control what you intake. You can't go and change a physical manga if you don't like what's inside. You can change a digital manga. You can't edit a digital anime, but you can edit a digital anime copy. Oh, it so pisses me off. Makes me so angry. Christina, I'm sorry. Your V is broken on your keyboard, obviously. Keep going. You have some interesting views in life. You seem like a cool, honest person. Thank you. I try to keep it real, even if it hurts people's feelings. I'm just really angry with this whole situation with Sony, and I'm calling them out on it. You're ruining everything. But then again, I think this goes back to my theory. I really do think it goes back to my theory and all this stuff. I really think that they want to control what and how much of what you intake with entertainment. They want to take away anything that distracts you from being from working. That's pretty much what a communist socialist country is. They want you working. Again, I told you, and their idea of the heroes of their movies was the laborers. You can't labor if you're taking time off to go on a trip to Disney. You can't labor as many hours as they want you to if you go home to play video games. You want weekends to go and watch movies? Watch that happen next. It kind of really sucks. Again, there's 25 people. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I am trying to get this channel's monetized. I know there's a problem right now with Twitch. I don't know what the hell is going on with Twitch. I'm going to look at that soon. But yeah, this is the state of entertainment. This is why everything sucks. Everything sucks because you're getting bad interpretations of your favorite IPs. You're getting your physical copies removed from you. Things are getting edited in a way they want to present things and force you into believing it. That's how I feel. I know that's a downer, but you know, sometimes you gotta say the truth. You gotta see what you're seeing. Bad. Everybody gotta wake up. Gotta wake up and realize we're under attack, but not in the traditional sense. They're coming at you through your entertainment. They're breaking you down by destroying the things you love. They're trying to back you in the corner by calling you certain names when you don't like something and you say it out loud. They go on social media and they attack you in your comment sections when you have an opinion. They try to change history. They're trying to convince you that things you saw and you were alive to see didn't happen that way. They've got these planted live streamers out there pushing all this crap too. You know who I'm talking about. I don't need to say it. Crap, man. And it's not because I'm old. I see what younger people feel the same way. Stuff they enjoy, they look at it and go, what the hell happened? What's happening? Exactly what's happening. And it sucks that that's what's happening. It also kind of sucks that my computer doesn't seem to like me reacting to videos. I don't know what that's about. I'm gonna have to figure that out and fix that next time. I'll also be here again on Wednesday, guys, and Friday. Friday is I'm going to talk about my top 10 favorite anime. A lot of them are going to be older anime, because I'm old. I got into anime probably before some of you were. But, yeah, I'm going to talk about that. Wednesday, I'm trying to think what to talk about. I'm sure some shit's going to hit the fan. I'll be able to talk about that on Wednesday. But, this is the state of things, man, with entertainment. I say, I'm just kind of like, when it first started to happen, when things first started to go to shit, like, you were kind of like in shock, like, are these people really getting mad at me for having an opinion on a movie? Like, me saying that this is not Star Wars, this is not how Luke Skywalker would ever behave, and suddenly I'm getting called all these really horrible names that have nothing to do with my opinion. First you're kind of like, what the hell's going on? What's wrong with people? And then they continued it. And they continue to destroy things. And they continue to call the names. And even when you think you've won the war, you realize it was just a battle. And they're coming back again, doing it again. Look at Lanterns. Heck, look at most of the DC. I mean, I know some people like the Superman movie. I did not enjoy it. Look at Supergirl, though. That's the same shit we've been getting with almost every female character. That's the other thing. It's trying to change this perception that, like, women don't make mistakes and women are perfect even when they're drunk on their ass. Or in the case of some areas right now, even when they kill their kids. It's sad. I don't want to even... That just disgusts me. It really does disgust me. Everything's like flipped on its head. And everybody just thinks it's because like stupid, entitled people. You guys gotta look at it. Bigger picture. There is a bigger picture here. They're trying to rewire your brain. Don't let them. Don't let them rewire your brain. They're trying to convince you of things that are not true. They're trying to kill your heroes. They're trying to make you think the world should work better another way. Ain't true. Not at all. Sigh. That's how I feel about that. That is how I feel about that. Well, guys, I don't mean to cut it short tonight. I was supposed to start earlier, but because of technical issues, it didn't happen. But I will promise Wednesday night you will see me on here a lot longer. And Friday I start at 7, so I will definitely be going longer on Friday night. I'm going to talk about my anime and probably some other stuff. And Wednesday, I'll let you know what the topic will be. But as right now, that's my feeling on why entertainment sucks. And that's a good video, by the way. Don't forget to subscribe to Movie Cynic. I have to check out some of his other videos, but yeah, he's kind of on point. But I think there's more to it. I hope you all have a good night, and I will see you Wednesday. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Alright? And I'll figure out the Twitch issue. I don't know what's going on with Twitch, but I'll figure it out. Twitch is a pain in the ass, but I will figure it out, guys. my old ass will figure out what I did wrong with Twitch. In the meantime, have a good night, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Take my